Hello, I'm Canon EOS photographer, Randall and Rueff, and I'm here today to talk to you about how to keep your lenses from getting dirty or your sensor from getting dirty when you have to change your lens. Because normally when you go to change your lens, if you're in a dirty environment or there's dust or, depending on where you live and what kind of conditions you have, there could be stuff like pollen or things of this nature that can get into your either your lens or your camera and mess up the sensor. So I have a solution for you on how to alleviate this problem. It's very simple. The 28-300 lens. That's right, the 28-300 lens, so you don't have to change lenses. If you have a 28-300 lens, more than likely you are not going to have to change lenses. Now there are some exceptions, of course. If you want to go really wide and get your fisheye, or you want to go real far away and get your really telephoto zoom. But for 95% of the stuff I do, the 28-300 is pretty much perfect. Pretty much. Not perfect, but pretty much perfect. First of all, this 28-300 lens isn't a Canon lens, but it is Canon compatible. Okay? So it fits right on. There's no adjust. I don't have to put anything on between the lens and the camera body. Don't have to do that. Just slide it right on. Okay. It's got a simple lock button to let it slide, so I can zoom. And if I want to lock it down, and it won't move. Okay. I've got an autofocus or a manual focus button right on the lens. It's right there. Okay. Now let's talk about 28-300. Right now, in lenses, that's about as good as it gets as far as going from wide angle to telephoto. You have some that go up to 400, for example, let's say 400, but they don't go all the way down to 28. Normally, if you've got a 400 lens, it goes down to about 100. It won't go down to 28. And there, of course, there's some that go to 800, that go from 800 to 400, or, there's different lenses, all kinds, but to go from wide angle at 28 to standard at 50 to telephoto all the way to 300, all around the lens, the 28-300 is the way to go. You're not going to have to change your lens when you're working in, say, a 4-H fair where there's horses and pigs and events like this, or if you're at let's say like you're doing a horse show where there's horses running around getting, flipping mud and flipping dirt, and or at a racetrack, like an off-road racetrack where the cars are, going around the track, excuse me, and doing, whatever they're doing, racing around, throwing off a lot of dirt and dust. So you don't have to change it, and that is a big deal because it's very easy. If I take this lens off, first of all, before we get to that, it's very easy to get dirt here, okay, on the front. Not to mention, when I take the lens off, to get it either inside the lens or on the sensor inside the camera. And I don't want to have to change. If I don't have to change the lens, I don't want to change the lens, okay? Eliminate the problem at its source. 28-300, boom, baby. Now, another solution is to get a fixed lens bigger than 300. More expensive. But if you know you're going to be at a certain distance and you need a bigger lens, that's a solution. And that solution is just to put that bigger lens on, leave it on, and use it the whole time. But normally when I go to events like this, that's not what you want, because not that that's not a good solution for part of the time, but when I go to events like excuse me, when I go to events like that, I'm shooting far away. But part of the time I'm shooting, like after the event or before the event, I'm shooting, let's just say it's a car show. I'm just using that as an example. There's cars going around the track. Well, when they're on the track racing, yeah, you're going to want a longer lens. But after the show or before the show, when the drivers, let's say there's drivers up there with, fans and they want pictures, when they're sitting by the car, you're not going to want a 500 millimeter. I mean, you're going to want something like a 28 to 50 to 100 to get that focal range, okay? You're not going to want the whole full 300. You're going to widen out your picture. And the 20 to 300 as far as I'm concerned, the best solution. Okay. Second of all, let's talk about the professional aspects of this lens. Now, Canon makes a 28-300, which is better than this lens. No doubt about it. The glass is better. The construction and build quality of the frame to the lens is better. But for about $300, I apologize for all my coughing. You can't beat this, okay? And while that 28-300 from Canon I would love to have, it's about $2,300. Depending on the prices of the market. I mean, you can get some for, $2,200, $2,100, or even $20. Depends where you buy it and what time of year. But it's over $2,000 anytime, okay? I got this for about $300, and I absolutely love it, okay? Do I wish it was a Canon lens? Yes. Now, I want to talk about why people think this isn't a professional lens. First of all, I use this for weddings all the time. Get great results, and I call that a professional lens. Yeah, I apologize for coughing. A little takes time of day. So this is a professional lens because I've used it personally to make money. I've shot numerous weddings with this lens, and therefore I make money from those weddings, and therefore it is a professional lens. Whether it's considered that or not, it is a professional lens. I mean, I may call it a professional lens, but when it does a profession, and I get paid for it, and as getting paid for that, use this equipment, that makes it a professional lens. Call it what you will. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't like is the aperture. It goes from, let's see, 3.5 to 5.6, I believe. And what a lot of people like is they like the 1.0, the 2.8, because it can, excuse me, I'm telling you, because it can wipe out the background, okay? And they like the 22 and the 21 and the 20 aperture because if you're shooting something where you want to get the subject, but you also want to get the background in focus, you can do that. Like if you're in front of a famous landmark or something, you not only want the person in focus, you want the background in focus. So it gives you a change. Well, a lot of people say, you know what, with that, it doesn't give you the range to do either or, to either blur out the background or to make the background in sharp focus. I'm telling you, takes time of day. But anyway, getting back to that, my point is, with the 3.5 to 5.6, I found that if you adjust your manual settings, well, I just put it on AV, on this camera, put it on AV, it will, you can set it so it has either the wide or, not wide, excuse me, it has either the big or the small opening, aperture opening. So you can set your preferences. And then the camera will do its best to adjust the shutter speed and the other things around, especially the shutter speed, around how your aperture is set, okay? And in most cases, this is pretty good work. I mean, there's some occasions where it's not done easy, but for the most part, you can set your aperture to tell the camera, hey, I want a real small opening or I want a real big opening, and then adjust the shutter speed accordingly. Now, you may have to change your ISO settings for some of these, but overall, it does a really good job. And I found that if you do that from a 3.5 to a 5.6, that you can either blur out the background or you can get the background in pretty sharp focus. Not perfect focus, but pretty good focus, okay? So it's not perfect, but it does a pretty good job of getting what you want. And that, to me, is a professional lens. And like I said, for $300, you can't beat the price. I mean, maybe you can some places, but not by much, okay? I've had this lens for 6 or 7 years, and I mean, I've never had any mechanical problems with it. Like I said, I would love to have the Canon because it's going to give me some more sharpness on the extreme, on either the f-stops, either small or large, getting a little bit sharper, better image. But overall, can't beat it. Recommend it. If you can't afford the Canon 28-300, which I wish I could, if you can't afford this $300 lens, is going to fulfill 95% of your photographic needs, even as a professional, okay? I haven't heard one complaint, not one complaint, anybody saying either the background's not washed out enough, or it's either, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to the background being washed out or not being washed out, I haven't had one complaint with this lens on either side of the spectrum, whether it be too much or not enough. Okay, so no complaints there, and I really like it. It's not that heavy. If it is too heavy, you know what? Grow a pair. Real photographers, they don't gripe about the weight of their camera. They love their cameras. I love this camera. I wish it was higher resolution, but aside from that, I love it. It's great. And I wish there were some more things I get newer features that I would have. But other than that, overall, I really like it. 2300 lens. If you don't want to have to change your lens, if you don't want to have to worry about dust and dirt, changing your lenses during an assignment or a job, or just whenever you're doing, you know, stuff on your own, 2300 is the way to go. And that is all I have to say about that. So until next time, I'm Canon EOS photographer Randall and Rueff. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and may God bless you. And as always, keep taking pictures. We love to see them.